Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Before I could reject him. Episode 11. Alice, how long is she going to be out? Xaden asked anxiously. We had all settled down to eat when he had appeared carrying Olivia. She seemed to be sleeping blissfully, a contented smile adorned her face. She is changing. She will wake up in a few days. How long did Rain sleep when you had turned her? I asked Damon. A week, he sighed. Though later I came to know she had woken up hours ago, but she was just enjoying the attention, hence pretended to be asleep. I stifled a laugh while Rain gave him a look. What was I supposed to do? You bit me so hard. She retorted. I shook my head at their banter. She will wake up in about 24 hours. Might be quicker, as she is genetically tampered already. Lucian said while checking on Olivia. Too bad she'll miss the celebrations, Rain said sympathetically. Is she okay? Did I bite too hard? She will wake up, right? Xaden asked anxiously. Don't worry, you did well. You can return to the pack house if you wish. Keep her comfortable. I will send some food and drinks for you, I said, placing my hand on his shoulder. The boy looked nervous. I looked up into the night sky and smiled at the moon. The night was cool, and the sky was filled with stars and the largest moon I had ever seen. She was beautiful tonight as well. Her silvery light was shining bright. Lucian grabbed my hand and walked towards the circle. He began to speak. Welcome everyone to the Blue Moon celebrations. Tonight we celebrate the benevolence and grace of our goddess Luna. We have also been blessed with a new mating and turning of Xaden Smith and Olivia Volpe. The crowd howled their approval. This is truly a blessed night, so enjoy and have fun. However, the security restrictions have already been conveyed. They are to be followed strictly. We already know the drill. Now the pack run will begin. The crowd howled and cheered again. I turned towards the rest of the pack and saw that most females had shifted and were running into the forest. Every eligible female was running. The males who had turned the human women were also returning carrying their sleeping partners. They were all sent back into the pack house. I then looked back at Lucian, who was staring at me as in it was something to eat. Maybe that was his plan all along. With the adrenaline rush that was surging through me, I decided that I better start running. It felt wonderful to run. It felt like I was burning off all the extra stresses and worries which had piled up in the last several days. I heard the howls and squeals of other females running all over the forest. Their happiness seeped in through our mutual bond, sending a sense of euphoria. I continued to run and watched as other males caught other females. I wondered where was my mate. Was I running too fast? You can never outrun me, dear, his voice boomed in my mind. I sniffed the air, a hint of faint musk and lilac assuring that he was close on my heels. Is it? But you run like an old man, I teased. That we'll find out once I catch you, he replied. I slowed down some at his response. He sounded close. I stopped suddenly when I spotted him right ahead of me. How are you so quick? I panted. I was huffing from all that running, while Lucian didn't seem fazed at all. He looked as if he could have kept on chasing me for hours on end. He chuckled and slowly walked closer to me. He was running his eyes up and down my body. "Do you submit?" he teased. No, turned to run off, but before I could, Lucian was standing right in front of me. "What makes you think I will let you run away, Alice?" I growled at him before running off. Then I heard him chasing me. "Thought you wanted to fulfill the prophecy." I stopped. "Well, since I caught you, then it's time to finally claim you and make babies." He moved so fast that I didn't have time to think. Catching hold of my neck in his jaws, he toppled me. I fought for some time just because my wolf wanted him to earn it. After a few moments, when I was completely overpowered, he stopped and positioned himself behind me completely. Then he quickly mounted and entered me all in one motion. A howl escapes from my chest due to the quick and forceful intrusion. He was brutal and relentless in his mating. He clamped his jaws down onto my neck and quickly pumped. Together, we rapidly found their release and howled out in pleasure. Once we had shifted and collapsed on the ground, we lay quietly in the moonlight. "Do you think the prophecy is true?" I asked. "I didn't care, it made you stop running. So, I could capture you," he replied, nuzzling the back of my neck. I propped myself up on my elbow and gazed down into his face. He was so gorgeous that it was overwhelming at times. "Like now?" "Lucian, what if I don't get pregnant, like ever?" I had always wanted to have this conversation, but somehow we never got around to talking about it. He frowned. "Why would you think so?" "I don't know, it's just a thought. Everyone's expecting me to bear pups. And I want to, but it didn't happen after my first heat with you. What if I never get pregnant? What if I have a problem? As far as I know, it takes two to make a baby, so either one of us could have issues. Don't stress yourself. This will happen when it's meant to be. And ignore Catherine. She has been obsessed with my future kids ever since I turned 18. He replied. But Catherine is not wrong, you do need an heir to lead the pack. Yes, we have enough niece and nephews for that. I just want us to be happy. If pups happen, that'll be great. If not, I don't want you to blame yourself and get depressed about it. We'll cross that bridge when the time comes. He cuddled me and held me close. I was touched by his words, but I made a mental note to see Emma and get myself checked after all this rogue madness was behind us. Olivia, it was dark when I opened my eyes. The large French window was open. Hesitantly, I moved one leg and then the other. I slid out of the bed and walked toward the open balcony. The forest looked tempting, and I had an urge to jump out and run through it. Don't even think about it. Zayden's voice boomed from the bedroom door, and I immediately turned back. How long have I been sleeping? About a week. I'm glad you are awake now. I've missed you. A week? I shrieked, is that normal? Everyone said it's normal, he shrugged. He walked up to me and pulled me close and wrapped my arms around his waist. How do you feel at this moment? His lips made a leisurely kiss on my neck. I luxuriated in the feel of him so close. I could hear the wind in the trees outside, and I could smell his heavenly scent. Very hungry, I replied. He released me laughing. I thought so, let's eat. I ate ravenously when the food was brought to our room. The flavors were all so much stronger. What do you want to do now? He asked, putting away the plates. I wanted him, needed him desperately. I felt an aggressive form of desire push into my mind. Furthermore, I also wanted to run in the forest. Have him in the forest. Yes, that seemed best. I want to run. I blurted. He smiled. I was warned you would want to be in the forest. All right, let's go out but stay near me. I nodded. I didn't know where it was coming from, and I didn't care. We walked into the forest and I kept running around, circling Zayden impatiently. Despite the darkness, I could see everything clearly, hear even the faintest breaking of twig and smell everything. Olivia, where are you going? Zayden said, exasperated when I had run towards some shrubs chasing a rat. I missed the rat, I said, disappointed. Olivia, you are a wolf, not a cat. I know you have the urge to hunt. Which will do once you shift. Can we also have X? I asked, excitedly. What? The look on his face was comical. Yeah, whatever you want, baby, just stay near me. Okay, I jumped next to him, then bounded ahead. Something seemed to be simmering inside me, urging me to run. I felt the wolf move under my skin. I almost ripple the surface, only to draw herself back, unsure how to go further. She didn't quite know how to make herself known. Olivia, stop! My mate shouted. Let him chase us, a voice inside me compelled me to run. I obeyed and started running. Olivia, I was heading for the trees before I realized what was happening. No, turn back, I thought to myself, and then realized I wasn't in charge. The wolf was in charge. My wolf was showing herself. I could feel her stretching out as I ran. Trees sped by me in a blur, and I sucked in a lungful of fresh air. I felt powerful. The rational human part of me still panicked and tried to get through to the wolf. I ran for miles, trying to check out my territory. I looked down at my feet, and they were still human, with a small spattering of white wolf fur. I had claws on my hands, but they still looked mostly human. It struck me that I was partially shifted into the hybrid wolf woman. And it felt great. I couldn't wait to turn fully. Olivia, Zayden's voice boomed in my head. My mate was close on my heels, and suddenly, I was overwhelmed by an intense desire. He was supposed to claim me. Why was he late? Without further delay, my face started to change, and a snout started to grow. It was the oddest sensation as my jaw elongated into that of the wolf. I was so excited and the changes kept happening. The ground was suddenly nearer, and I realized I was running on my hands. No, they were not hands anymore. They had changed into paws. I was a wolf now. I had shifted and it felt wonderful. Walking around as the wolf fit like a second skin. It was like finding a part of myself I'd never really gotten to know before. My ears were so much more effective, I could hear much better. The nose had also improved my sense of smell. I scampered around and crawled up a small hill to look at the valley below. I smelled something tasty and heard a faint fast heartbeat. My stomach growled. I felt the wolf's instincts for hunting in my mind. Olivia, you are beautiful. I finally saw my mate Zayden. His grey wolf stared at me from a distance. Mate, I thought. He instantly heard me. We can talk. I suddenly realized we were talking telepathically. Yeah, you can talk to the entire pack actually, but we'll test that later. He stalked nearer to me. I have never seen a white wolf before. You look lovely. I was pleased and held up my paws. He butted my head with his. Run with me, he said. I couldn't agree more. As we trained physically, I started to blend with the wolf. Soon we were thinking in tandem, opening ourselves to each other completely. It was so much more comfortable that way. I continued to test my strength and was very pleased. My claws were sharp, my legs were powerful, and my reactions were quick. I wasn't going to be afraid anymore. Alice, come on, Max, is this the best you have? I said, exasperated into the laptop screen. Remote working had its perks. But it was also frustrating at times like this when my assistant screwed up the design I had been working on. I was looking at the model of a resort hotel which I had designed for the Blackstone pack. In all this madness, Lucian barely had the time to work out the details of the hotel which we had decided to build on that land. Hence, I decided to take the initiative and do it myself. He would be thrilled. Max, that's not where I want the swimming pool. And we would never get approval for towers that high. I need this to be done before Lucian's birthday. Max scratched his head for a few seconds. On its madam. Give me some time, how much? About 2 weeks, he replied. All right, Max, you have 2 weeks, I replied. It had been 3 weeks since our conversation and the design was still not ready. I was literally at my wit's end. This is precisely how Lucian found me, pacing restlessly on the balcony. Hey, you look tensed. He commented as he caught my waist. Max is driving me crazy, I might have to drop in the office sometime this week. I have been ignoring work for a long time. His grasp froze. You know that's not possible, Alice, those rogues are still at large. But we haven't had any incident in more than a month. You people have flushed out most of the rogues. I think I can at least visit the office for a few hours. He seemed to fight with himself. Is it important? Yes, please. I pleaded. All right, but just this once. He sighed. I threw my arms around him. Thank you, he laughed and held me tighter, almost picking me off the floor. Do I get to drive myself? I asked, but I already knew the answer. No, he said, patting my bottom, I will accompany you, I have to attend a meeting in the city anyway. So you would be following me around everywhere. I hated when he did that. You will have the guards. Everywhere. He grinned. I don't like this, but it's no use fighting over it. You won't agree anyway, I muttered, taking out my cell phone from my pockets and calling Max. He didn't pick up, so I texted him, scheduling our meeting for next the day. Lucian had just repeated his speech for the 3rd time. Be always alert. If something seems wrong, it probably is. Call me or the guards anytime you feel threatened. I will be furious if something happened to you, he said. I nodded mutely. I was irritated would have been an understatement. He studied me for a minute. I assume you are trying to think of more commands? I asked sarcastically. Please take care of yourself, love, he sighed, handing my bag to me. Don't worry, I said to him, leaning sideways to kiss him on his lips. I'll be careful. I saw guards standing all around the door waiting for me. 4 large men would wait all day outside, and there were several wolves employed in the office. What could go wrong? Send Max in. I called my secretary as I walked into my cabin. He is not yet in, madam, my secretary replied. Really? How irresponsible. We have a meeting in 15 minutes. Send him in as soon as he enters. I was boiling in anger by the time a young man entered my cabin. Max, do you want to get fired? Who are you? I stopped when I saw the stranger. He was a human. Max will not be coming, Madame Luna, he said. I narrowed my eyes. What did you call me? Nobody called me that at the workplace. The wolves who worked for us treated us as just another human, not Alpha or Luna, to maintain discretion. Max has been taken by them, and if you want to see him alive, come with me, he said calmly. I studied the stranger. He was tall and burly like a bouncer. How did you manage to enter my office? I asked, folding my hand and resting my chin on it. I work here, he said with a sly grin. Really? I need to speak to human resources. What's going on here? I was trying to stall him. Look, I know everything about you people, and I also know that you can talk mentally, but before you do that, just look at your phone, he warned. My phone pinged, and I checked my message, which was sent by this stranger, of course. It was a video of a dark room. Someone was tied and slumped in a chair right in the middle of a room. It was Max. Olivia's vision. That was the first thought which struck me. I looked up at the stranger. What do you want? Come, he commanded, pushing me toward the emergency exit at the back of my cabin. Babe, I am being kidnapped, I screamed in Lucian's mind. I could sense his panic. Stay with me, babe, tell me where you are, he replied. I kept my mind open to Lucian and went willingly, just long enough for the kidnapper to relax. With a quick move, I turned and looped my hand around his neck. I could have snapped it within minutes. I restrained him and called out for help. He struggled, but I had him in an iron grip. The emergency door was yanked open and the figure converged on us. He moved with lightning speed and backhanded me across my fatally saw stars for a moment. Before I could regain my balance, a large clawed hand grabbed me around the neck and flung me against the nearest wall. The wall cracked and I growled in anger, almost shifting. Something bound my hands and feet. Silver. My head hurt, and before I knew it I was in the lift headed for the terrace. To my surprise, there was a chopper. It had been waiting with the motor running. I was deposited in the back. My senses were so jumbled from the series of hits I wasn't sure which direction we started to fly. Lucian, this is crazy. I should have never listened to her. I chided myself, but it was of no use. She was gone. Alpha, we lost the chopper, Damon said somberly. I could feel my nails digging into my palms. I was gripping my hands so tightly. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Do whatever you can. Follow all the clues and find her. I managed to mutter. Alpha, we have a request. I raised my head to find Kyle and the guards bowing their heads in submission. My wolf growled. He wanted to rip their heads off, for failing to protect my mate. What is it? I asked impatiently. We don't deserve to live. Please forfeit our lives. Kyle fumbled. I wanted to do that, but these were some of the best betas and warriors. Killing them now would achieve nothing. I don't have time for dramatics. Get out. Alpha, they whimpered. Get out. I yelled, that sent them running out of my office. My wolf went into a rage and destroyed the table in seconds. I then went around the room trying to find out what had happened. I picked up Alice's phone and watched the video of Max. So, this is how they forced her to leave. Alice was too kind to let anyone die because of her. I called Rick and Daniel and told them the situation, not just for their help, but to keep myself calm. Alice, I woke up lying on a bed, which was an improvement over my previous 2 kidnappings. This time I was on a bed. I was thankful for that because my head throbbed, and I wasn't certain if I could stand being on a hard stone floor. I was still dressed, which brought another rush of relief. From what I had heard from those rescued women, these rogues were not kind and didn't waste any time in violating them. Since I wasn't tied, I mustered the courage to stand up and try to take in where I was. It was just a room with almost nothing in it apart from the bed. The air smelled musty, mixed with the scent of several rogues. It looked like I was underground, which explained why I couldn't contact Lucian. Well, hello there. I jumped and scrambled back. The sight and the smell of that man were so repulsive, they could have sent even the most hardened wolves running. Who are you and what do you want? I yelled. He stepped further, and I was on my knees, ready to attack. You look just like her, he said wistfully. I narrowed my eyes, so this was that psycho Stuart. Lucian had told me all about his obsession with that alpha girl. If I played my cards right, maybe I could escape this place or at least alert Lucian. What do you want? I asked. His face was so disfigured, it was hard to keep looking at him. Perhaps, he was aware of his predicament, hence he was dressed in a long flowy robe with an attached hood which kept most of his body concealed. What could any man want from a woman like you? He mocked, his face twisted into what, I assumed, was an attempted smile. So all this while you were after me? Not initially, he seemed to relax a little. You see, I am a scientist. I have dedicated years to trying to perfect the genetic makeup of humans and werewolves. You asked what I want? I want world peace. With all species living together in harmony under me. I snorted. You must be expecting a Nobel Prize as well. He looked annoyed but ignored my jibe. So, I experimented, a lot. But then I realized I would need something more. An alpha blood. There we go again. So you are after my blood too? Like Gregory? He smirked. In a way yes, but not for that stupid mumbo-jumbo. I have much bigger plans for you. The reason I kept you in a pristine condition, You mean you spared me from getting raped by your minions? I must be grateful, guess. I said sarcastically. Yes, you are mine. No one else can touch you. He was sitting on the bed now, and I was looking for any outlets to escape. There was no way I could fight out of this. I needed to keep him busy and talking. You know I have a mate. Yeah, and that hardly makes a difference. I'm not concerned with your bond. So, what do you want? I was losing my particle now. Breed with you and create a whole new race of pups. He smiled. You are crazy. I said. Maybe, I had not much luck with those humans, but you are special. Only a hybrid like you would be able to bear my genetically enhanced babies. Oh! I can't wait to start. He said gleefully. I wanted to throttle him right away, but I needed to wait. And how are you going to fulfill it? I can only get pregnant by my mate. That's the least of my concerns, dear. Science can achieve anything. I don't need to depend on biological or in this case magical rules. His eyes twinkled with weird madness. I had derived by now that he loved gloating about himself. I needed to keep him talking and delay whatever nefarious plans he had for me. That sounds fascinating. I am not good with scientific stuff. Could you please explain? I asked, trying to look genuinely curious. He looked surprised. None of your tricks are going to work. No one cannot leave this place. No, it's not a trick. I am genuinely interested. What is your breakthrough? Too bad the world would never know about it. I lied. I had zero interest in his stupid plan. He eyed me suspiciously but then spoke. I was always fascinated by werewolves. Strong, beautiful with the ability to shift into a beast yet retaining their human side. My father was a keeper, so I knew everything about you people. I was the weakest kid among the pups. I didn't live in the pack, but whenever I visited them, it was an absolute delight. Then there was Lana. I raised my eyebrows in alarm. She was so lovely. I fell in love with her the moment I saw her. She loved me as well. We were mates, you see. Really? I gagged. So much for being delusional. When we grew up, I was looking forward to mating with her and turning. But her father didn't approve of our match. Even Lana turned distant. It's a pity that you people hide away and don't share your gift with us. It's very selfish. Because you were not her mate, stupid. I thought. To cut the long story short, I was driven away. But I had planned my revenge. I did a master's in biotechnology, aiming to turn myself into a wolf. I came back for Lana, but she spurned me. All I wanted to do was be with her. I didn't want to kill her, but I had no choice. He said casually. I was seething with anger now. So, did you manage to turn? I asked. Oh yes, and I am so much better than you all. I can take on even the strongest of alphas. Though I had to compromise in the looks department. He said thoughtfully. Interesting. I commented. I would like to know how you achieved that. Can you specify the details? Really? You want to listen to all of it? All of it? I said, giving him my brightest smile. while I prayed for Lucian to reply to my call. "Olivia, please don't cry, Olivia." Zayden stroked my hair as I cried into the pillow. "I can't imagine what horrors Madame Luna might be going through. They are monsters," I sobbed. Zayden didn't reply, but his hand stopped. "Everyone is looking for her. I am sure we'll find her soon. Alpha Lucian has been combing every lead. Madame Luna is a strong wolf. We'll find her soon." My mind kept replaying those terrible days I had spent under their captivity. I clasped my hands on my ear to dispel those memories, but how could I remove something which was already embedded in my mind? "Your vision was right, Olivia, that man you saw in your dream. It was Max, her assistant. They captured him to abduct Alice." Zayden whispered. My eyes shot open. "It's all my fault. I should have warned her." I sat up, restless. "What are you talking about?" Back there, I had heard a conversation between that monster and a man. He was talking about capturing an alpha female. She was special with some power. I didn't understand those terms, but now I can relate. They were talking about Alice. They had been planning to capture her for a long time. I could have stopped them. It should have warned Madame. It's all my fault. A fresh spate of tears fell from my eyes. "Olivia, it's not your fault. How could you have known that they were talking about Alice? Come on, get some rest. I can't go on a raid if you remain this miserable." He hugged me and I tried to get rid of my guilt. If my visions were correct, I prayed to Luna, to show me something that would lead to Alice. I tried to keep my eyes open, as Stuart droned on and on about his scientific advancements. I had lost track of what he had been rambling long back, but just nodded and smiled at certain intervals to look interested. "Come on, Lucian," I said into the void. "So, these human women failed to get pregnant. It's not because my experiment failed. They were just weak. Weak and useless. Even my army of men was not the breakthrough I had been hoping for. So, I started seeking alternatives. The best approach was to go natural. Create my hybrid children." He crossed his legs and folded his hands, placing his chin on his knuckles. "So, that's why you attacked the mated alpha females." "Yeah, lost quite a few of my men. I don't care about them, though. They were lab rats, totally disposable." He shrugged. "And I am your next big experiment." I was feeling squeamish. "You are special, Alice." I winced, my name rolling off his tongue made me sick. "I am sorry, I need to use the bathroom," I suddenly said. I couldn't hold myself anymore. I spotted a basin in a corner and dumped whatever meal I had previously. "Are you okay?" Stuart said, stroking my back. "Don't touch me!" I shouted and moved away. He chuckled, showing a row of yellow teeth. "You are tired, we'll talk again. Don't even think of escaping because you cannot." He left the room and I curled up on the bed, suddenly feeling fragile. I woke up to the sound of scrapping. Feeling adventurous, I left my room and walked towards the tunnel through which Stuart had entered. That was the way out, I believe. I realized I was being followed. Alarms rang through my mind and my wolf growled at the impending danger. I decided to run and bolted quickly. Suddenly, I was tackled to the ground and pinned beneath a large, black wolf. Stuart. No matter how much I struggled, he didn't get off, just kept me pinned to the ground and growled. My wolf screamed in my mind and I partially shifted. I was now desperately punching, clawing, and trying to get him off. Nothing worked. Finally, Stuart forced his jaws around my neck. I could feel blood dripping down my neck into my hair. I stopped moving, and it was stupid to fight anyway. As much as I wanted to fight this, I couldn't. My wolf and I recognized that we would die if we continued. Stuart removed his jaws and shifted above me. He licked up some of my blood from the right side of my neck. He was inches from my face. Now, are you going to walk with me? Or do I have to carry you? I'll walk, I said, defeated, and kept my eyes away. Stuart got it from me. We finally reached a door being guarded by two rogues. They opened the door, and we entered a larger underground chamber. My mouth fell open in surprise. It was a state-of-the-art lab. Several machines were mounted along the correct wall. In the center, there was a huge light above and a bed like they have in operation theaters. I also saw two jail-like cells, one of them was occupied with Max. I screamed. He came to the front of his cell to look at me. He was badly battered. I ran towards his cell and clutched at the iron rods. Ugly bruises covered his face. Half of his face was swollen. "Ma'am," he croaked. "Max, you'll be fine. I will get you out of here." "Okay." He seemed disoriented. They are monsters. I don't know what they want." He seemed disoriented. "I know, Max, I know," I said. "How touching." The unfamiliar voice drew my attention. There was another man in the room. And I knew who he was, Gregory's brother. Somehow, I wasn't as surprised as I should have been. "Why am I not surprised to see you here?" I said. I checked for Stuart from my peripheral vision. He seemed unfazed and was busy looking at his laptop screen. "What to say, I am glad we meet again." He grinned. "I don't recall meeting you, Jordan. But if you are referring to the whipping you got in the woods which made you run away. Yeah, that was fun," I retorted. Jordan growled in anger. "How does it feel to lose your pack and turn rogue?" Jordan lunged at me only to be restrained by several Rouge henchmen. "You are not allowed to touch her." Stuart walked over. "Our deal is complete. You may leave now. So currently you will drive me out of my pack land." Jordan growled. So, I was in the Blackstone pack land? I wondered how Jordan had managed to hide here, right under our noses. "Yeah, I will if you disturb my work," Stuart argued back. "Our deal is not yet complete," the deal said. "You would impregnate her. That would kill her mate. Then I will get back my pack. We are not done yet." So, that was their plan. While Stuart and Jordan argued, my eyes fell on a surgical knife, and I stealthily slipped it into my pocket. I would use it when required. I sniffed the air to determine if there were other captives. I couldn't smell any other human apart from Max, which was a good thing. They had probably stopped picking up human women. I could sense several rogues. Too many for me to fight myself. Excuse me. But how exactly are you going to impregnate me? I am not going in the heat for several months, and as a mated female, I can only get pregnant by my mate. I interrupted their argument. Stuart looked at me and gave me a sly grin. I would have preferred the old-fashioned way, but I don't have the time. The answer is science. I will inject you with hormones to bring you in heat. Then I would artificially inseminate you with my seed. Clever. And to think I had my honeymoon here, right above these dungeons. I said wryly, his plan had a flaw. It would take months to achieve whatever he wanted, and Lucian would find me before that. I just needed to escape and contact him once. What are you waiting for? Do your science thing. If she gets pregnant by any other male, her mate bond would break and Lucian would die of heartbreak. Do it! Jordan yelled eagerly, and I felt a sudden panic. As soon as we get her blood test reports. It's not your mumbo-jumbo. I need to run some tests before going ahead. Stuart chided him as if he was explaining a 5-year-old. Alpha, you have to see this. One of his minions arrived with some papers. Ah! The blood reports! Stuart exclaimed. When did you draw my blood? I asked, surprised. While you were knocked out, of course. He replied, staring at the papers. I felt a sick feeling in my stomach, imagining what else they would have done while I was sleeping. WTF? How is that possible? Stuart suddenly yelled while his minion cowered in fear. Curious, I clutched my pocket, which held the concealed knife. She is pregnant, Stuart announced. It was odd to be shocked and happy at the same time. I had been praying for this day, but it wasn't supposed to be like this. I was supposed to share this moment with Lucian and see his handsome face light up with joy. My hand instinctively went to the belly. There was a tiny baby in there. It felt surreal. You stupid assholes! I blurted out. You ruined the moment for me. This is not how I had imagined this to be. My hands shifted to claws and I shattered the nearest reachable equipment. Wow! She is already hormonal, Jordan commented. Grab her! Stuart commanded. I backhanded and threw off the first minion who tried to grab me, but it was difficult to fight off so many as they arrived in waves. Let me go, you assholes! I growled in anger. What are you going to do now? Jordan asked Stuart, ignoring my outburst. This hampers the plan. I can't impregnate her anytime soon, Stuart said. Why not? Just get rid of her baby and do it. I lashed out at his words. I would kill them if they tried to hurt my baby. It's not that simple, even if I abort. Her body will need time to recover and be ready for impregnation. That would take at least a month. Besides, I have no plans to get rid of her baby. A hybrid alpha baby. Do you know how beneficial it would be for my research? Stuart's eyes glowed with madness. It can solve my problem of unstable shifters. This is wonderful, he said gleefully, rubbing his hands. I felt a rush of relief. My baby was safe for now, but I wasn't going to let him become a guinea pig for Stuart. I would escape. Olivia! I woke up screaming from the nightmare I just had. Olivia! Are you all right? Zayden was holding my shaking body. I saw her. I saw Madame Luna, she was in a cave, not a lab. Take me to the Alpha, please. I pleaded. The vision was so vivid. It was almost like I was there. Sure, get dressed. He threw me a pair of a tracksuit. It was late night or early morning. Whatever one might refer to 3 a.m. when we reached the Alpha's office. The hustle and bustle of betas and the trackers ascertained the fact that nobody had slept for hours. Alpha was trying everything possible to trace Alice. The row of SUVs in the driveway ensured that they were either going or returning from a raid. I must talk to the Alpha now. I pleaded to the guard standing at the door. Alpha is busy in a meeting, you can't see him now. He replied gruffly. I must see him, I had a vision. I saw Madame Luna. Before the guard could react, the door burst open. You had a vision of Alice? What did you see? A very haggard-looking Lucian asked as he stood by the broken door which hung funnily on its hinges. I saw her in a cave, it was underground. She was with them. I replied fearfully. What's going on? A voice said. 2 more men popped out from and I instantly knew they were also Alphas. Olivia is as an oracle. She saw Alice in her vision. Lucian explained. Really? The one with the redhead said. Then let's get her inside, don't scare the girl. Can Zayden come too? I asked. He nodded. Sitting in the confines of his large office, I felt overwhelmed. The plush sofa seemed to swallow me when I sank into it. Now think calmly and tell us everything. The redhead said. He seemed to be the only one in control. Alpha Lucian and the other man who was Alice's brother were on the edge. Their wolves were barely in control. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. Madame Luna was walking through a tunnel. It was underground. Somehow I just know it was underground. Then she was in a lab, with him. Stuart and another man who had talked to him earlier. They were talking about some experiment. Where was the place? He asked. I don't know. He sighed. Anything else? Did Alice say something? I closed my eyes again and tried to focus. Yes, she said this is where she had her honeymoon. What? Alpha Lucian was suddenly in front of me. She said honeymoon? Are you sure? Yes, I replied, albeit fearfully. He whispered and ran his hand through his messed up dark hair. Was she? Was she? He couldn't bring himself to ask the question. She wasn't hurt, Alpha. She seemed fine. I assured him. The pain in his eyes was unbearable. I was unable to imagine the ordeal he was going through. Thank you, he whispered. What does it mean, Lucian? Madame's brother asked. She is in the Blackstone Pack land. But that area is under you. Yes, that's why we didn't bother to comb through it, as the pack had already moved here. Alpha, that land is mountainous with several caves and tunnels. We never explored them much. Assuming they would be empty. Damon said. I looked at the proceedings with awe. That place is spread in acres, how are we going to search for an underground setup without alerting them? Rick said. Collect all the former Blackstone Pack members. Interrogate them, you can use force if required. They have been living there for decades, they must know something. Lucian commanded. Mayhem descended in the packhouse as former Blackstone betas were rounded up. Many others ran towards the houses occupied by Blackstone pack families. Catherine grabbed my hand and pulled me away from the Alpha's office. Zayden stayed back to help in the raid. You have done your work, Olivia, thank you. Her eyes were moist. She will be back, right? I asked. I needed assurance. Yes, Lucian will move heaven and hell to find her. Lucian, the thought that Alice was in the captivity of those monsters was driving me crazy. Getting no headway was worsening it. I couldn't connect with Alice, but I could sense she was still alive, hurt but alive. Alpha, there is this girl, she says she knows where Madame might have been kept. Send her in. A shivering teenage girl no older than 15 entered my office. What's your name? Bree Rossi, she replied. She was so scared. I was afraid she might faint. So, I offered her a seat. You can talk whenever you feel comfortable, I said. She seemed to relax and spoke. Jordan, Alpha's brother, had a secret tunnel in the northern caves. I was once playing with my friend Penny. He asked us to check out his secret hideaway. I refused because Mama warned me not to talk to men. But Penny didn't listen, and she went with him. I was curious, so I followed them. I know where he took her. Did you go inside? No, I was too scared. What happened to Penny? No one saw her again. She replied softly. There was a grim silence as her words sank in. Bree, you have been very brave. We are going to rescue Madame Luna. I want you to come along and show me the way to that place. Your mother won't be angry with you, don't worry. Will you help me? Her eyes widened. I can be part of the raid team. She asked eagerly. Not exactly, you don't need to fight, and you'll be safe. She suddenly jumped off the sofa. Yes, yes. I would help. Madame Luna has been very nice to us. I will do anything to help you out. Despite the situation, I couldn't help smiling. Good, I called for Damon, who looked befuddled when I mentioned that the little girl would accompany us. Keep her surrounded by a few guards. We are leaving now. Yes, Alpha. He replied. Alice, I watched amused as Stuart and Jordan argued over my pregnancy. Maybe if I edged them on, they might kill each other. Lucian's baby would make our bond even stronger, do you know that? I said, folding my hands over my belly. Did you hear her? Get rid of it now. Jordan yelled. I will, but not right at this moment. I don't need the baby. I just require the fetus. She is just 5 weeks pregnant, right? Give me a few months, then we'll both get what we want. Stuart replied. I growled in anger. I will kill you before you even think of touching my baby. Stuart smirked. I love the maternity streak. Put her in the cell with that human. No. My screams were useless as I was forced and locked inside the cell with Max. I closed my eyes and shuddered about his evil plan. I might have dozed off again. Because I woke up a little while later. I didn't know what time it was. Max was up as well, and he was mumbling incoherently. I sat up and noticed that there was some food on the floor of the cell. Some scrambled eggs and a couple of pieces of bacon. My stomach growled, but I forced Max to have some before wolfing it down myself. Good girl. Eat up because soon you'll need your strength, Stuart said mockingly while sitting at a nearby table. I suddenly felt nauseous and held my stomach. After I was done eating, Stuart walked up to my cell and quickly unlocked it. He walked inside the cell and I could feel that my wolf was at the surface. Are you going to come quietly with me, Madame Luna? I didn't say a word but stood up and followed him out of the cell. He quickly got behind me, placing my hands behind my back. His grip was very rough and tight on my wrists. I ignored the tinge of pain and walked where he led. Two of his minions caught Max and dragged him out. Where are you taking me? We can't stay here for long, your mate would eventually find us, so we move before he spots us. I am always one step ahead of him. Stuart floated. Aren't you afraid I might contact him through the link? Nah. He is still trying to figure out where you are. I have my spies. He smirked. I made a mental note to find those spies when returned. Once outside, I could see that the sun had set and bright moonlight illuminated everything. We walked through the forest for like 10 minutes when I heard an unmistakable voice in my head. Alice. I stiffened for a second, then regained my composure. Lucian, thanks, God you are here. Alice, I love you, babe. Now listen cautiously. When I say run, just run. Alice, Alice, I love you, babe. Now listen carefully. When I say run, just run. Lucian spoke in my mind. But Max, we'll save him too, don't worry. They don't know we are here as the wind is in another direction, but they will soon know. So just do as I say, babe, please. I will, dear. I replied. Jordan gave me a suspicious look. I ignored him and kept my head down. I wasn't certain if I could shift, pregnant wolves can't. But my wolf assured me that she could take over any time. Run, Lucian said in my mind. My wolf took over. Breaking the restraints, I ran into the forest. The sound of gunshots rang through the forest. I looked up to see Lucian's choppers hovering over the trees. They were shooting at Stuart and his men. I stopped running. Max could get caught in the crossfire. I returned towards the group I had just escaped. Lucian, I felt Alice's pain run through me, the rest of the pack felt the same. I immediately turned and started rushing off in the direction it came from. Rage coursed through me. With dread, I realized that Alice was running back to save Max. I saw her entangled with two wolves. Usually, I would have let her fight them out. She was a strong alpha, but for some reason, I felt extremely protective of her. Growling, I jumped on them. I ripped off the throat of the first one and kicked the other one so hard he bashed his skull on a tree and fell limp. He is hurt, Alice said through our mind link. She was sniffed around the limp body of Max. I was furious by the fact that she had disobeyed me and instead of coming to me, she was worried about Max. But that is how she was, kind and considerate. I ran up to her and rubbed my forehead with her. Something smelled off. Alice, are you okay? Are you hurt? I am fine, Lucian, thank God you arrived in time. She spoke through the link. I commanded a few of my betas to take away Max. Alice, come with me, I commanded her. She followed me. We cannot let Stuart escape, Lucian. I know, love, but first we need to escape the crossfire. I heard a thud and immediately turned around to find a black wolf growling over a sprawled Alice. He had suddenly jumped on her. No. Mad with fury, I lunged at the black wolf. He was expectedly strong, but I managed to push him off Alice. Are you okay, love? I asked, running to her. He is Stuart, don't let him go, Lucian. She screamed back. I sensed the advancing Stuart, and I had no choice but to turn away from my love to handle Stuart. I felt relieved though when I saw Alice stand up with a little help from Rick. Furthermore, I was scared that she might have broken a few ribs due to the impact. She seemed to be doing okay now, though. My happiness was short-lived. Stuart continued circling us. I was going to end him. Stuart made the first move and charged towards me. I stopped and allowed him to collide with me. I just wanted to check his tactics and the actual strength of his wolf. I was stunned to be hit with a force comparable to Alpha and was knocked back. Lucian, be careful, he is strong, Alice warned in my mind. The impact was strong, but I managed to stay on my feet. Was this an effect of the things he had been injecting himself with, or was there something more that I didn't know about? I was puzzled, but I had to come up with a solution quickly. I focused on Stuart and shivered from the adrenaline that coursed through me. I was more than ready to get rid of him for good. I was done playing with this bastard and wouldn't let him escape again. Our entire existence was at stake because of him. The sounds of fighting and gunfire boomed all around us, and I mentally commanded Damon to take away Alice from the mayhem. She was in pain, I could feel it. Stuart ran at me again to ram me against the ground. However, I was prepared. I quickly maneuvered and jumped out of the way of the charging male and managed to rake a claw on his right side. Blood filled the air with a tangy scent that left my wolf craving for more. Stuart roared and stared at me with murder in his eyes. I shifted into my hybrid human form. You will not get anywhere with this, Stuart. You will die. The black wolf growled, then shifted into a human. My eyes grew wide at the hideous form which unfolded. His legs were bent like a goat's, grey shriveled skin covered his body. His face was disfigured. Then I realized why he smelled off. He was a mishmash of several animals. His werewolf genes were enhanced with other animals like panthers, pigs, and snakes. He was an abomination. You are not as powerful as you think you are, Lucian. That pretty mate of yours will be popping my pups soon. He mocked. I howled in anger before rushing at Stuart. We began to wrestle together on the ground. Barks and howls rang out as claws and teeth found their marks on his body. I felt a sharp pain in my shoulder and realized Stuart had managed to bite me. I toppled him off me and pinned him to the ground. The smell of blood thickened in the air as the night drew on. He separated from me and started running in the opposite direction. I was taken aback for a second, then I realized he was aiming for Alice. He was going to ram into her again. I lunged at him with my full force and caught his jaw just a few inches before he reached Alice. His neck was thick and strong. I tightened my jaws on it. Blood started pooling in my mouth. I shook him furiously, causing more blood to fly. Just die, you asshole, I howled. Slowly, Stuart's body fell limp. I heard his heart stop. He was dead. I shifted and ran towards my mate. She was still wincing in pain. He is dead now, it's all over, Alice. Are you okay? Lucian, I am pregnant, she said simply. Her eyes stared into mine. The flood of joy that engulfed me was incredible. That explained her little off-scent. How? I mean, when did you find out? There is no time to explain. My belly, it's hurting. I am scared. I can't lose the baby. She said panicked. You won't, I am taking you back now. I had to be brave for her, but the truth was I was as scared as her. Alice, I guess I had passed out on the way back. I had no idea how long I had been sleeping, but my hand went instinctively to my belly as soon as I opened my eyes. I tried to feel for some trace of life. The first 20 minutes after my rescue was still hazy. The pain that slashed through my lower abdomen was excruciating enough that I was completely oblivious to everything else. All I remembered was Lucian carrying me to the chopper and then to the infirmary. Your baby is fine, Madame Luna, Dr. Armand's voice boomed in the room. I then noticed he was staring at the monitor, which was showing my vitals. I sat up as the pain had ebbed and fully disappeared. Are you sure? Yes, I did a thorough examination. You had a few broken ribs and the abdominal pain was due to the stress, nothing to worry about. A human might have suffered a miscarriage, but we are stronger. So, everything is fine. He smiled at me. A flood of relief rushed through me. How long was I out? I asked. Just a few hours, Alpha Lucian would be here any moment. I had informed him about you waking up. And as if on cue, Lucian burst in through the door. He had showered and changed into a comfortable white tee and grey track pants. When our eyes met, he gave me a huge grin. I opened my arms, and he was immediately hugging me, making sure not to disturb the tubes attached to me. How are you, babe? He whispered. I am fine, and Dr. Armand said our baby is doing well. It's our baby, after all. He smiled again. He was smiling a lot, as if unable to hold his joy. Would you like to listen to the baby's heartbeat? Dr. Armand asked, smirking. We broke apart and looked at him amazed. We can? Isn't it too early? Lucian asked. Actually, yes. The baby is very small, but werewolf babies get their heartbeat earlier than humans. The doctor pulled a funny-looking instrument, like a tiny microphone, from a drawer near the exam room sink. Let's see if we can find the baby's heartbeat. Alice, I knew about Doppler monitors, which are used to hear the fetal heartbeat. The idea both thrilled and terrified me. Just lie back, Dr. Armand said, lifting my gown to reveal my bare belly. He squirted some liquid on my skin. Just a bit of gel. It'll help pick up the sound. A crackling sound like an old transistor radio broke out in the room. Lucian looked at me, bewildered. We'll hear the baby's heartbeat? I asked. The doctor nodded, moving the instrument over my stomach. The heart forms and starts beating from a very early stage. More static came from the small speaker the doctor held in his hand. A rapid, watery sound rang out, like waves at the beach on fast forward. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A smile spread across Dr. Armin's face. There's your baby. I held my breath. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Lucian's face was like a mask. I had never seen him so shocked and happy, both at the same time. The miracle of the moment began to sink in. We had created a life. The baby we had created, against all odds, was real. A tiny life, with a heart and everything. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. I looked up at Lucian, his eyes were wide with astonishment. Our baby, he muttered. It's incredible. He took my hand and gently squeezed it. It's so fast, I said. Dr. Armand chuckled. That's normal fetal heart rate. We'll do an ultrasound in a few weeks to check on the growth. All seems good for now. Lucian seemed to have come out of the shock, and now he was smiling goofily. You know what it means. What? Things are going to get interesting, he said, touching my belly. It also means we fulfilled the prophecy, I said. He chuckled. Maybe, all I want is a healthy baby, thank you so much. You have no idea how happy you have made me. He kissed my forehead. Later we walked back to the house and Lucian told me all about the decimation of the rogues. How Olivia's vision and Brie Rossi helped them in tracing that underground lab. Jordan was killed in the crossfire. Further investigation of the lab revealed Stewart had been developing and injecting himself with several DNA-enhancing serums to become a powerful wolf. He had always been obsessed with turning into a wolf. His obsession with Lana compounded his efforts to become a werewolf. Her rejection and the ultimate ouster by her father drove him mad. He was a genius though and quickly developed a serum to turn humans into werewolves, but he lacked the funding. He would have probably remained in the periphery until he met Jordan, Gregory's brother. How they met and collaborated. It was still a mystery. Jordan's money and Stewart's skill created an army of hybrids who had been wreaking havoc for months. How is Max? I asked Lucian. Despite my resistance, Lucian had forced me to rest at home and see Max the next day. He has still been knocked out anyway. He would have to change or be killed. He had seen enough. I wasn't happy about it, but that was the law. He will be fine, though he would have to turn. He was bitten. I know you would hate that, but it's the sacred law. I understand, I won't oppose your command, I replied, entwining my hands with his. Are you mad at me? For not obeying you back there? I was, but I can't stay mad at you for long. Not when you are carrying my baby. He wrapped his arm around my waist and pulled me closer. I can't contain my happiness. When did you know that you were pregnant? I stiffened. That moment was ruined forever. Stewart found it. He had plans to impregnate me to sire his abominations. He did some blood tests and found out that I was pregnant. Otherwise, I would not have known for a few more weeks until my scent changed. I said with disgust. I didn't want it to be this way, I wanted you to know first, maybe give you a surprise. He ruined it. I felt a pang of sadness. That bastard! Lucian muttered. Perhaps, I should have given him a more painful death. He took me in his arms. It's all right, baby, the danger is over, and we will be parents, so everything is good. All this has opened my eyes to some things I never thought about. What do you mean? I don't know, it's hard to explain. It just seems to me that things are falling into place now. I can't describe it to you. It's a feeling Ned have. As though things will be fine from now on, this was our last hurdle. Well, I am just glad that the ordeal is over, and I am back with you, I said, resting my head in his chest. You have always belonged to me, Alice. You are mine forever. I plan to make you the happiest woman in the world. He pressed his lips to mine. I kissed him back, letting my lips linger on his for a moment longer than necessary. You already have. The fever was gone, and when Max opened his eyes, they were tinged with red. You made it, Max, you're safe now, I said. Boss, where am I? He fumbled. In a hospital, just relax. It took a few minutes for him to sit up. He looked around, then focused on me. You are also just like them. His voice was calm and clear. There was no trace of fear. I had expected him to go hysterical. Yes, I am a werewolf. So is Lucian and several others at the workplace. I am sorry you got dragged into this mess because of me. Cool. This is spectacular. He said in awe. I didn't expect this reaction, maybe he was in a shock. I told him our laws about how he being privy to our existence meant he would have to turn and become part of us. He could also opt for getting his memory deleted by Aunt Flora. But the council didn't want to involve with the witches and make it a norm. It would make the wolves lax. But I could persuade Lucian and Aunt Flora. Can I continue working? He asked a little cautiously. Of course. I work, so why can't you? That's awesome, like the comic books or those movies. He grinned. I blinked. So you have no problem in turning into a werewolf? What about your family? My girlfriend moved out last month. I am glad she left. I don't have anyone else. I live alone. So, when can I change? You will experience your first shift during the first full moon. Look, Max, it's a lot to take in. I understand our rules. The lifestyle, it's all very different from humans. I'm alive, he said. That's better than I had expected. Moreover, will I become tall and handsome like the big boss Lucian when I turn? He asked earnestly. I burst into laughter. That we'll have to see. Maybe you'll surpass Lucian. I grinned. He seemed pleased. That was a piece of cake. Max is the most enthusiastic human who wants to become a werewolf in history. I chuckled, as I talked to Lucian over a light lunch. Fortunately, my pregnancy was easy. I rarely felt any morning sickness and I also ate with gusto. Catherine said that was because my baby was going to be strong. That is nice. BTW, there is a party tonight, Lucian said. Really? For what? They are happy about defeating the rogues and your pregnancy. So, when Catherine asked me for a celebration, I said yes. You did well, I grinned. Alice, as I walked towards the circle to join the pack, our guests and friends. I couldn't help admiring the decor, the fairy lights and the most tempting smell of roasted meat. Catherine had outdone herself. The entire circle had been decorated with twinkle lights and colorful roses. There was soft music being played by a live band. It sounded old and enchanting. The guests were all smiling and joking. Lucian joined me soon, and I found myself in his arms. He smiled at me intensely, then kissed me. His tongue ran over my lips and I opened her mouth to let him taste her. My hands danced his shirt buttons. I wished I were back in our room. I wish the same, dear, he said, giving a sly smile. Maybe later, I winked at him. Mate! A shout broke the magic, and we looked at the commotion. Eliza was clinging to Max, who looked dazed. I found my mate. Hi, I am Eliza and I like you. She flushed while talking to Max. You like me? But you are so beautiful, you are way out of my league. Max said. Though he couldn't take his eyes off her. Lucian laughed and said, You can have him, Eliza. Thanks, Alpha, Eliza said and turned back towards Max. Well, that ended well. I laughed. I found Olivia and Zayden, looking at me from the periphery of the circle. I walked up to them. Congratulations, Madame Luna, Olivia said. I smiled and caught her in a hug. Then I stepped back from the hug and looked at her happily. I was looking for you. Thank you so much for saving my life. You are truly a gift for the pack. Olivia smiled broadly at me. I can't explain how blessed I am to become part of this pack, she said. I shrugged and looked over at Zayden. I want you to take excellent care of her. Never hurt her and always keep her happy. She is special. Zayden smiled mischievously. Of course, your wish is my command. He looked at Olivia with a goofy grin. Thank you for giving me back my home. This pack will always be your home, I replied. I joined back Lucian who was talking to Rick, Daniel, and others. There were many congratulations and handshaking and smiling. Part of the generally happy and excited atmosphere had to do with the fact that the night had gone so well. The danger was averted. Rick hugged me tightly. I can't believe my little sister will be a mom. You will be an uncle soon, so better believe it. I laughed. He broke the hug and looked down at me. You will be a wonderful mother, I am sure of it. I grinned back at him. Catherine was the happiest of all. She had been waiting for Lucian's heir for years. I can't wait for the little bub to arrive, she said. Well, same here, but the baby will arrive in its time. It's going to be weird having a baby around here in just a couple of months, I said. Pups are good for the pack. They strengthen the bonds between the mates. Catherine said. I had not told about the prophecy to anyone. I wasn't certain if my baby would have Luna's mark and I wanted to avoid raising any hopes. I could only hope for the best. 6 months later Lucian I woke up around 7. Alice was still asleep. I looked over at her and saw her belly and chest rise and fall as she breathed. I cried because it was such a beautiful sight. It seems like every other night since she started to show, I've looked over at her in awe. Heck, even before she got pregnant, I'd see her beautiful body next to mine and wonder how I got so lucky. Alice stirred, and opened her eyes, while I was still watching. She turned toward me and said, "Morning, Wolf." My chin must have been in a certain spot because she could tell I was trying to say something. What is it, honey? The truth is, the reason I hadn't formed any words is that I wasn't sure what I was trying to say until she asked me. I'm just thinking how lucky I am, I said. We both are, she said. And the wonderful part is that you think that, I told her. I placed my hand on her swollen belly. I felt a kick. He or she is eager to get out. I grinned. Yes, any time now, she sighed. I love the baby, and it's been a very smooth pregnancy, but I am sick of being pregnant. I chuckled and spooned her in my arms. She needed a lot more sleep these days. The packs were at peace again. Alice, when people mention contractions, they have no idea how it feels, except those who have gone through it. The pain comes in waves. The excruciating pain starts low in the belly, it then expands, reaching your entire lower half. It's like your bones and organs are getting crushed. Then it subsides, but it's short-lived. Just as you feel relieved, the second wave starts and the cycle repeats. Get this damn thing out! I screamed. I was covered in a thin layer of sweat. Language, sweetie, we discussed it, didn't we? Lucian's soothing voice reached my ears, as he wiped my brows. Oh! Shut up! It's all your fault. I am not letting you touch me again. I yelled at him. He chuckled. You are just saying it now, babe. I had been happily sipping my juice with Emma, one of my rare outings. The baby decided to arrive just then, and I was rushed back to the pack hospital. Emma and Dr. Armand were fussing around me. The baby was taking its time. I screamed with effort as Emma asked me to push. The baby is almost there, Lucian said in wonder. You are doing great. Just one more push. Emma said encouragingly. With one final push, our firstborn slipped into the waiting hands of Dr. Armand, who caught the child in a soft, warm cloth. It's a boy, he smiled. We have a boy, did you hear that? Lucian said through tears. I panted and bent forward to see the baby. The doctor suddenly gasped, his eyes widened and his jaw fell. What is it? Is there something wrong? I asked, concerned. Lucian and the doctor were staring at the squirming bundle in his arm. Lucian just whispered, he is perfect. Dr. Armand handed my baby to me. I could barely conceal my happiness, and right there on the newborn's chest was a dark pink birthmark. It stood out against the babe's translucent skin. It was slightly raised and perfectly shaped like a tiny circle with a triangle in it. The mark of Luna, my exclamation echoed in the reverent silence of the room. The prophecy was right. I stared into my newborn's face, taking in the tiny perfection of his delicate features. He returned my stare with wide, curious green eyes and a solemn expression. I touched my son's soft dark curls and his soft chin with an outstretched finger. He clutched it firmly in his tiny fist. Our baby, I whispered. Do you see that? The prophecy was right. I said, looking up at Lucian. Lucian was so stunned, he was barely speaking. He was simply staring at the tiny bundle. Want to hold him? I asked him. His face lit up and he nodded. I gently passed the tiny bundle to him. The movement seemed to have disturbed the baby, and he burst into tears. His wails resonated in the room. Ah, he is a tiny ball of energy. Lucian laughed, cradling him. He looked even tinier in his massive hands. Have you thought of a name? I asked Lucian. I have, he mumbled. How about Aiden? He asked, smiling at me. I love it, Aiden Blake. I grinned back at Lucian. Aiden suddenly stopped crying and looked straight into my eyes, as if accepting his name. I think he likes it. I smiled. Yes, he is meant to do great things. But we have a lot of time before that. Lucian said while sitting next to me and placed our son in my arms. 6 years later, Alice, Emma and I were sitting outside in the garden watching our little ones tussle. We often visited each other. How you keep up with the three of them, I'll never know. I'm having a hard enough time with Arya, she said. It's difficult sometimes, but it's also fun, I said, looking at my 6-year-old Aiden and 2-year-old twins, Rose and Leo. It was a pleasant surprise when I discovered I was carrying twins, few years after we had Aiden. The kids looked up at us and yelped. They were cute little pups. Both Aiden and Rose had inherited Lucian's green eyes and dark hair. Leo was more like me with his hazel eyes and brown hair. Arya had caught Aiden by the ear while Rose and Leo tussled in the mud. Aiden, sweetie, Mama's not going to come to your rescue every time the girls pick on you. I laughed. I can't believe he lets her get away with that. He outweighs her by quite a bit. Emma said. He is a little gentleman, he just plays along. I smiled as Arya managed to topple Aiden over. Mama, we are hungry, Aiden said as they ran towards me. Sure sweetie, let's get cleaned up then we'll have some food. I picked up the mudded twins as they squirmed in my arms. The kids loved to visit Catherine in the kitchens. She would let them play with the dough and I had a hard time bathing them again and again. I walked in with Emma and the kids. Hey! Olivia, what are you doing here? I asked a heavily pregnant Olivia who was hogging a huge batch of French fries. Avoiding Zayden, she huffed, he has made my life miserable. I keep telling him I am pregnant, not sick. Can walk around without falling. She grumbled and stuffed a few fries in her mouth. And I am fat yet I am eating fries 'cause I love them, she burst into tears. Catherine mouthed at me, she is very sensitive. Ah dear, now don't cry. You are still beautiful and all that fat would be gone in no time. I stifled a laugh and hugged her, patting her head. She was hormonal and such outbursts were normal. You know, when I was pregnant with twins, I was prescribed bed rest and Lucian wouldn't let me even walk to the bathroom alone. That's how these men act when their mates are pregnant. I am sure Zayden means no harm. Really? She looked at me through sobs. Yes, now cheer up. Would you like some blueberry pancakes? Her face lit up. Yes please. I grinned. Even the kids were enthusiastic about the pancakes and soon the smell of vanilla and cream wafted in the kitchen. They were unusually quiet and stuffing themselves with blueberry pancakes. Thanks, Catherine, for feeding these munchkins, I smiled at Catherine. Oh. Never mind. I love feeding them. She smiled. We talked for some time about random stuff and the pack gossip. Olivia was due to give birth any time soon. Zayden was doing his residency in the city hospital and used to help Dr. Armand back in the pack hospital. "Come on kids, let's go back. Dad would be home soon," I called out to them. They cheered when I mentioned Lucian. In a whisper, I told my 3 children. "Okay, children, let's play a game. Let's hide and see how long it takes Daddy to find us." One yap of agreement and they all nodded happily. Then, the pups took off. I watched for a moment, as Aiden hid behind a bush in the garden. Leo and Rose stood behind a tree trunk thinking it was thick enough to hide them. It wasn't. It was a warm summer day. I felt Lucian watching us from the top of a mound. I smiled as he slunk stealthily and grabbed Aiden. "Found you." "That was too soon, I want to hide again," Aiden grumbled. Then he went to the tree and grabbed the twins. They squealed with delight. "I found all of you, Daddy wins." That led to another round of jumping and rolling in the grass. Tired from running and romping, we carried them in. Soon pups curled up in their beds and we were finally alone. Lucian suddenly grabbed me and carried me to our bedroom. "Hey, what are you doing?" Elle asked laughing. "I caught you, weren't we playing hide and seek?" "That was over long back and I wasn't playing. I can play whenever I want," he said stubbornly. Knocking me down, on the bed we rolled. "Will you stop it now?" I said laughing. I looked up into green depths and he nuzzled my neck. He traced my lips with his fingers. "The children are asleep and will be for a while. Do you know what your smell does to me? Besides, I want to make up for a lost time. I was away the whole day. I want you until you can't remember your name." I pushed at him, playfully, laughing. He slid down my body and parted my thighs, not taking his eyes off me. "May I?" His voice was full of lust. I smiled at him. "You'd better not wake them. Look who is talking. You are very noisy when we make love," he said, pushing his hands under my shirt. "That's preposterous, I'm not noisy," I protested. "Let's check it out," he said mischievously. The sensation was overwhelming. His mouth and fingers did wonders, and was soon panting and screaming with ecstasy. He captured my lips to slow down my moans. "I never thought after 3 kids you would remain so randy. Only because of you, woman," he said, kissing down my neck. I began moaning under the assault of his tongue on my mark. He picked up his head briefly. "Love you, babe." "I love you too, Lucian," I replied. There were no serious threats to us in all these years. In time, Aiden would grow up and do what he was born to do. And while the children grew up, we as parents would always keep watching over them to ensure that they will always be safe and protected from harm. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.